So in this video, I'll be teaching you how to use data validation in Microsoft Excel. Data validation is a technique used to ensure that the data being entered by the user is in the correct format. So by default, there's no data validation applied to any of the cells in Excel. So you can enter any data you want in any cell. For example, let's take this column, username. So if I want to, I can enter any number. Excel won't show any error message. That's because there's no data validation applied to these cells. So let's apply data validation the bank password field. So here in the question, it's given to only accept data which is strictly 12 digits. So in order to apply data validation, select the cells you want to apply it to. Go to the data tab and click on data validation. And here under settings, under allow, click on the drop down and select text length, since we need to check the number of digits. And under the data section, click on the drop down and click on equal to, since we need to only accept data which is strictly equal to 12 digits, not greater than, not less than, but strictly equal to 12 digits. So click on equal to, and under the length section, just specify the text length. Here it's 12. So let's move on to the next tab in the data validation dialog box. Here it shows settings to configure the input message. So input message is the message which appears on the screen when you click on the cells where data validation is applied. So you can configure the message here. So in this case, I'll just type in a sample input message. Let's move on to the error alert section. Here you can select the style of error alert you need. So in this case, it's shown as stop. So if the stop style is selected, Excel prevents the user from entering wrong data. So let's configure the error alert. So this is the error message I choose to apply and click on OK. So if we select any of the cells in the bank password field, it shows the input message. So I just created a sample input message here to make it easier for you to understand what it is. It is usually used to specify the data validation criteria applied to the cells so that the user doesn't make any error while typing in the data. Suppose we choose to ignore this input message and purposefully try to enter invalid data. So let's see what happens. So we're gonna enter data which is 3 digits long, which doesn't follow the criteria we specified. Let's see what happens. An error alert pops up with the same configuration we used. So let's retry and enter data which is 12 digits long. So you can see that this data is 12 digits long, so you can enter it without any error message popping up. Let's move on to another case. So here in this field, you need to apply data validation so that only data which is between 10 and 16 digits long is accepted. Let's select the cells, click on data validation, go to settings, under the allow section, click on the drop down and select text length. Here between will be fine, and in the minimum section, enter the lower threshold of the range, and the maximum section specify the higher threshold. So this configuration only allows text length which is between 10 and 16. Let's configure the input message. So this is the input message I chose to go with. And now let's configure the error alert message. And this is the error alert message I chose to go with. Click on OK. So you can see the input message is popping up so that the user knows what data to enter. So let's enter some values to see if it works. 1, 2, 3. It's working. Let's enter data which is greater than 16. It works. And now let's enter data between 10 and 16. Text length. Right, it works. Let's look at another example. So this field should only accept characters with a maximum character length of 20. So let's apply that. Select the cells and click on data validation. Go to settings, under allow, click on text length less than or equal to, Since the maximum character length is 20, you can enter data with text length less than or equal to 20. So the maximum value should be 20 here. Let's configure the input message. So let's configure the error alert message. When we select a cell, the input message shows. Now let's enter data to see if it works. So let's enter a long data here. Yep, it's greater than 20. Now let's retry. You can enter this value since it's less than 20. Here let's apply data validation to date data types. The criteria is it should be greater than 20th December or after 20th December. Select the cells and click on the data validation. Go to settings. Under allow, click on date, and under the data section click on greater than, since it should accept data after the 20th of December. So let's enter the start date here. In this case, I choose not to configure the input message or the error alert messages. The default messages will work. Click on OK. Let's enter a date before the 20th of December. Yeah, it's not accepting the value before that. Let's apply date after 20th of December. So let's move on to the next example right here. The criteria is date which is before the 15th of January. So let's select the cells, click on data validation, the allow section, click on date, and the data section, click on less than, and date should be 15th of January. So enter that. So let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. So let's move on to applying data validation for time data type. So in this field, you need to accept data after 11 a.m. So select the cells and click on data validation, and allow, click on time, and the data section click on greater than, since it should accept data after 11 a.m. and specify the start time over here, 11 a.m. So you need to enter the time in this format. Now it's minutes and seconds. You need to specify the seconds also, and click on OK. So let's see if it works. Yeah, it works. So let's apply data validation to the next field. Here the criteria is after 11 a.m. and before 10 p.m. So let's select the cells, click on data validation. Under the allow section, click on time. Under the data section, click on between, and specify the starting and ending times. So let's see if it works. It works. So you can also configure this in such a way that the user can only select items from a list. So let's see how you can do that. Let's take this table as an example. Under the order section, the user can only select between these three items. Click on the cells, click on data validation, and under allow, click on list, and specify the list of items over here. So you need to separate the items to the comma in between the values. So when you click on a cell, you can see a drop down icon to the right. Click on that and you can see the drop down list. You can select any items from this list. The items in a list can also be provided as a cell reference. What I mean by that is, instead of manually entering the items, you can select the cells which contain those items. So let's see what I mean by that. Select the column over here, click on data validation, and click on list. Under the source section right here, click on the arrow right here and select the cells where the list of items are present. It's present over here, so let's select those cells and click on enter. And this is what I meant by giving a cell reference as the source. Click on OK. So like earlier, you can see a drop down icon over here, and you can select what item you want, and these items correspond to these items in this column.